We are joined by Raphael Davis, and a person that needs no introduction to Big Ten basketball fans, Purdue basketball fans, state of Indiana folks, on down the line. Ray Davis does it all. And Raphael, we'll start with a little analysis about Purdue men's basketball. Obviously, the disappointing loss to UCLA on Tuesday night at UCLA, but the Boilermakers return home for Saturday against Illinois. This is a competitive league. Maybe as competitive as any time in recent memory. But what's your assessment of what you saw not only Tuesday, but just the league in general?
Yeah, the league is really good. I think it's top heavy. I don't think it's as deep as it has been in years past. I don't think it's as talented at the bottom. I think so. I think you look at the top 6, 7 teams, it's really good there.
Yeah.
But I look at Purdue. It's been an up and down season, in my opinion. I mean, it started out really, really good. Then the defense took a hit a little bit, and then now it seems like the offense is taking a hit. I think the loss against UCLA, I just think you just can't have that from your seniors. Like the seniors just didn't show up on the road. And if your seniors and your best players aren't going to play well on the road or they're going to get outplayed, you're not going to win a lot of games on the road. And I think that's what – like C.J. Cox was great, but you can't depend on C.J. Cox to win you games on the road. I think you got 3 seniors that are all capable of winning you games. They've all won games for you. I think the offense is a little stagnant right now. We're trying to figure out how to get TKR going. You saw at the USC game, TKR is back at the 5 a little bit. So I think there's going to be some adjustments made over the next few days, but the seniors just didn't show up. And I get one of them not showing up, but all 3 of them can't not show up on the same night and expect to win.
You talk about leadership and accountability and your role as that. And that's an important – I mean, you obviously did that and went through a challenging time at Purdue where your first couple of years, the team wasn't where you wanted it to be. Talk about that challenge as a senior, and you'd had to do that where you have to hold yourself as accountable as you do everybody else. That can be a challenge for a Braden Smith, Fletcher Loyer, TKR on down the line.
I mean, it can be a challenge, but I mean, winning a national championship is a challenge too. So I mean, it's one of those things you got to pick your heart. So I think they just got to be better. They've got to because I mean, even if you can't score, like they struggle to score the basketball. Yeah. And then you got to be able to guard. And then the way Donovan Dent just took over the game, I mean, he was the best player on the floor. It was nothing anybody could do with him. He was getting wherever he wanted to get on the floor. So I think the defense from the perimeter level has got to be better. I think you saw a lot of different rotations. Coach was trying to get guys out there that could defend a little bit. Because when it wasn't Dent, it was Trent Perry. And you look at Purdue this season, UCLA didn't have a bench point. Yeah. So I mean, you got to be able to guard. And at times this year, you just don't see it from a team standpoint defensively. Individually, you see guys that stand out. But from a team standpoint, as far as being consistent, it just hasn't been there. And I know you lose that UCLA game, but Purdue didn't necessarily play well in that Iowa game. Didn't necessarily play well in that USC game. And it kind of all hit its head when you get to Westwood.
All right, Illinois on Saturday, and Illinois is really talk about offense and talk about talent. You've watched them, the Fighting Illini, closely. Going to provide, yes, Purdue's at home, and that's a good thing, and maybe Purdue will have a chip on its shoulder after a disappointing loss. They seem to do a little bit of that after the Iowa State loss. Mm-hmm. What do you see in that matchup on Saturday?
I think Purdue will be able to run their stuff. I think that's going to help Purdue. I mean, you look at Illinois, especially without Kylan Boswell, they're not necessarily the pressure team in the half court defensively. So even last night, you watched that game that they play against Maryland, and they're not trying to turn you over as much. So I think Purdue will be comfortable, more comfortable than they were against UCLA. I think Fletcher will have a better game. I think Fletcher will be able to get his shots off. I think you look at UCLA and the way they guard you. I mean, they fight you. And the way Illinois, those bigs can't really move as well. And I'd be curious to see how Illinois matches up with Purdue. Because if you just can't put David Merkovich, or you can't put one of those big guys on a Fletcher Loyer. Even a guy like Jake Davis may struggle to come up on the screen. So that's going to be interesting. But on the flip side,
Yeah.
like Illinois is going to struggle to guard Purdue, but I mean, Andre Stojakovic went for 30 last night, and now the floor for the Illini is more spread. Like it's spread out a little bit because Colin Boswell's a non-shooter. So you sub out Colin Boswell, you put in Jake Davis. You got to guard Jake Davis. Now it's more space for Andre to play a little bit. So, and then like CJ Cox to me is an all-league defender, but CJ Cox can guard Stojakovic and guard Keaton Wadley.
Yeah.
So one of those guys out of Braden or Fletcher, they're going to have to step up on a defensive end because those guys can get you. And then on the glass, you look at Illinois, one of the better offensive rebounding teams in the country. So from a size standpoint, you look at even Andre Stojakovic, Fletcher's going to have to hit. You know what I mean? So it's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out, how it flips. But I think when you think of Purdue, when they're comfortable and they're able to take care of the ball, it helps.
All right, from a January 23rd, 24 perspective, Michigan's really good. Purdue, Illinois, Nebraska. Handicap what you see, and again, we know it's every night on the road in the Big Ten is tough. Every night at home can be, but who do you like of what you've seen so far? Who do you like? Nebraska's been maybe surprisingly good, but surprisingly together. But is that your team of that really is the team to beat, or how do you view that the race down the stretch for Purdue and others?
Yeah, I think it's Nebraska for sure. I mean, just being undefeated. I mean, you can only win the games you play. And Nebraska being undefeated right now, not only are they undefeated, but they're playing the best basketball. Like Purdue's going through some woes right now. I am concerned about Purdue's offense. I mean, just the spacing. I mean, I don't think Purdue can win a national championship without Traycoff and Red being effective on the offensive end. And then I think Michigan's extremely talented, but they don't always play hard. And they can kind of they take those little lapses and you can get them. So I look at in the Michigan State offensively, sometimes they struggle. And then Illinois' defense sometimes is a question. So I look at Nebraska as the most put together team. I think on both ends of the floor, they know what they want. They have multiple guys that can beat you. We just talked about Purdue can't really go on the road and one of those three guys not play well. But you look at Nebraska, they've been able to go on the road and win without Rick Mass playing well because they got so many other guys that can beat you. I mean, not beat you with 12, 14 points, but I mean, go for 30 legit. I mean, Price Sanford for 30 at Illinois. Brain Fager goes for 25 at Northwestern. Like, they got some dudes over there. And then they guard you. The way they scheme, it's almost like a 2-3 defense, but it's man-to-man. I think Nebraska right now, as far as Big Ten basketball conference play, I think they're the team to beat.
Yeah, it's interesting how when you talk about how teams come together, and certainly Fred Hoiberg's done that there and surprised some people because it's Nebraska. I mean, let's be honest. They've never won an NCAA tournament game. I don't think. Talk about that surprise, but also the way teams come together. So, Purdue's got certainly a foundation to build from, but you also hello there and welcome to the show.
He can't hear you.
She can talk about Purdue basketball too.
Oh, this is my son.
Oh, this is your son. I'm looking. Okay.
Yeah. I use the braids.
This is
Ace.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
He's walking away. It's all good.
No, and you look at those teams and you have that. You have things that come together, and not everybody. Obviously, nobody's picking Nebraska to win the Big Ten before the year. But things have a way of coming together with the right blend of folks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think that's the thing. Actually, you look at Indiana football or you look at Nebraska basketball, you go to Indiana football last year, like Kirk Cignetti saying they're going to win a Big Ten championship before they get to this point. And I go to media days this season, Sam Hoiberg pulls me aside and said, hey, we can win the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
And it's like, they don't care where they were picked because in their locker room before the season starts, they're already planning to be in this position they're in. And then I think you, as fans, sometimes you look at exhibition games and you say, oh, they're fake games. Like, oh, they're not the real games, they're scrimmages. But like, some exhibition games are games. Like, I get the closed ones. Maybe you're playing some zone, maybe you're working on stuff. But when you're playing on national TV and your best players are playing 35, 40 minutes, it's a real game. Yeah. When you go out there in Nebraska, BYU, both teams played that as a real game. So Nebraska winning that game early, it gives you an abundance of confidence. It gives you a level of security that we can compete at the highest level. But then it also showed Rick Mass that he was back. You know what I mean? He goes there, he competes against a top 10 team. He has 30. So when you're able to do something, when you always have the belief in the locker room early, and then you go and do something special early to start the season, I think it just got them off to such a marvelous path. I think you could take it either way, but I think in Nebraska take care of BYU. It just showed how real they were early, and then they just showed. Now they just have to show you can win in different ways, and they could beat you in the 90s. They could beat you in the 50s. It's just they got really good leadership. Hoiberg is a really, really good coach. Never too high, never too low.
Yeah.
And they got Coach Painter would always tell me, in coaching, you want to be young and old. You want to get old, but you want to stay young. And you look at Nebraska right now, they're old. They're one of the oldest teams in the league, but one of the best players are freshmen. Yeah. And they kind of got a really unique balance to where you got the old guys, but then you got this young pup that is just out there hooping and just going hard. And it's working out for those dudes.
Yeah. When you watch Omer Meyer play at Purdue, and here's a guy with a lot of talent that doesn't get a lot of minutes, and hit a big shot against UCLA. They put him in at the end of that game, but maybe they, like you were talking about, Coach Matt Painter's, trying to find that right defensive combination. I don't know, but here's a guy also that walks into a very old team in a lot of ways with a lot of expectations, and he's done some good things. But and maybe you have, but it's a chance to talk to a guy like that. What do you tell him as he continues to get through the Big season?
I just got to keep playing hard. He just got to keep chugging. He's in an awkward situation, in my opinion, just because he'd get more minutes if the perimeter defense was better around him. You just can't necessarily – this is just me. Like, I never talked to Coach about this, but it's my philosophy. Like, you just can't have Braden, Fletcher, and Omar out there for an extended amount of time. Just the perimeter defense just isn't. You got to have CJ and Jakari out there. Sometimes you got to have both of them. So I think he just got to wait his turn in a sense. You've got to sit in it a little bit. You know what I mean? Because either he's because right now he's playing behind Braden, he's playing behind Fletcher. He's not really in that CJ and Jakari role, and he's not a defender in per se. So I think just keep playing, just keep going. Fletcher struggled the other night, so you go with Omar and he makes some shots and just keep taking the open ones, be aggressive off the bench, be aggressive in the time that you're in there. That's kind of what I would tell them. But then also watch a lot of film defensively, because a lot of guys think you have to be quick, you have to kind of be athletic to be able to guard and get better at defense. But if you just watch the film and you get better at angles, you understand concepts, and you watch the team before you play them, and outside of just watching film in the locker room with coach, you go watch the games. It puts you in a better position defensively. But right now, I just think it's just tough for him because he's playing behind seniors, and then defensively, it just doesn't work with three guys in the backcourt that are kind of liabilities one-on-one defensively.
Yeah, interesting about the term "sitting in it," and that's Kathy Wright-Eager was on in the last segment. Matt Painter uses that a lot in terms of how you sit in it, and you had to sit in it a little bit even in your days playing. And what about that concept though? Because good coaches seem to let their teams do that. Matt Painter uses that word a lot. They used it after they lost to Fairleigh Dickinson. That mentality, if you're where Purdue is, where you were the odds-on favorite, the betting favorite to win the national championship. It's a long season, but as you look at teams that are good at sitting in it and improving is a key factor, I think.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think that's something I tell my kids all the time. Like, something gonna go your way, you don't run from it. You can't hide from it. You can't just tuck your tail and go hide in the corner. So I think it's something that you sit in it. You get through it. You learn from it. You go through the steps. You feel that hurt, so you can come back from it. So I think it's a great concept. It's one of those concepts that it's for sports, but it's also for life. It's something that a lot of these kids are running into with the transfer portal. Some of them go their way, they run away from it. And something I learned through kind of the ways of life is that no matter where you go, your problems are coming with you. You're not leaving Indiana and going to California and thinking life is going to change. Like, those same problems are coming with you, whether you're playing sports or not. So when you sit in it, you get through things. And you look at Purdue, we were last place in the conference. And we had the dudes that left and ran and tucked their tail, life didn't get better for those dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, their careers didn't pan out and be it was great. So I think I take what happened at Purdue over that any day. And so we sat in it. We understood what was wrong. we fixed what was wrong. We didn't sugarcoat it. We had tough conversations, and then we got better from it. I think you look at Purdue right now, the leadership is quiet. Like Trey's going to show you how to do things through his work. Braden is going to show you how to do things through his play. And Fletcher's a cool dude, like real cool guy, but you got to have that dude in your team that'll be willing to fight the whole locker room for what's right.
Yeah.
I mean, fist fight. Like there's a lot of times where let's fight. So I know it sounds crazy, but move these chairs. You don't want to do it. Let's fight. So it's like I think this Purdue team, I think they're still searching for that guy. And I'm not saying fight per se, but you need that guy that's going to challenge other guys. You need that guy that's going to piss people off, or that guy's going to say, "Hey man, you're not guarding nobody. Like guard your man." Or you need somebody starts cooking, they switch. And you need somebody. My job is to take him out the game. Forget everything else, take him out. So I think this team is figuring that out on the fly too. But like I said, you can't run from it. They can't point fingers. They got to figure it out. They got to sit in that UCLA loss, figure it out these last couple of days going into Saturday, and try to win the big one. Because one loss in this conference, I go back to PJ Thompson's senior year, and they were primed to win the league. They had a really good year. That 2018 team, I think. And that one loss turned into two. And then two losses turns into three in a row, and now you're out of that race. You know what I mean? They had a chance where they could have been number one team in the country in 2018, but they had lost. The locker room fell apart. And I don't know if people even know that, but the locker room fell apart. And then you lose those games in a row, and then you get into a tournament. Isaac gets hurt, a team that could have won a national championship. So I think you've got to, because those dudes were calling me. I remember those. I mean, they were calling me. They were trying to figure the locker room. They were trying to figure it out, but I couldn't help them anymore. So I think it's something that this coach can't do nothing. This is a locker room thing. So I think they got to figure it out between each other as seniors.
All right. One of the things that Raphael Davis does better than anything else is his Crew Life not-for-profit. Talking about sitting in and walking the walk and doing the thing. Bring us up to date, because your foundation has done a lot, continues to do a lot, and some of the initiatives that are front and center for you.
Oh, this has been great. I've loved it. It's been absolutely amazing to think. The last 6 years, we've had over 4,500 kids come through our program. I mean, right now, we're in our winter basketball league. We have 125 kids coming to play ball every Saturday the next 7 weeks, and probably what the news would call the worst area in town. The worst facilities in town, which we grew up playing in, which we grew up learning the ball. So it's been absolutely amazing bringing all these kids from different walks. Because you have kids from the inner city that grew up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, but then you have Purdue fans who the kids love me for playing at Purdue, but then you also have, because not only is it me from Purdue, but Lisa Clemens, now Cooper, she played basketball at Purdue as well. So you have those fans there from Purdue, but then you also have folks that see us on the Big Ten Network and bring comfort from that. So you have just a melting pot of kids that normally wouldn't grow up together. So that's always great. And then from this winter league, we'll have our spring flag league, a spring break basketball camp, a spring league. But it's been tremendous. Our trip to Purdue last year took 130 kids up to Purdue from Fort Wayne, Indianapolis, and East Chicago. And that's the biggest deal, because we can teach kids how to play sports. Obviously, sports is expensive. We can be that for families, but if you could teach 50 to 100 kids every year that they can go off and they can be engineers, doctors, pharmacists, or they can have roles like yourself, or they can run a goldenblack.com. They could be in basketball media. They could be photographers at NBA games, or be a Chris Foreman and run social media for a college program. That's the real goal. Because everybody's not going to go play ball at Purdue like I did. But everyone could use sports, or they could use something that we teach them to go off and have successful lives. And that's the goal. Like I always tell the young men, and especially the high school boys, that if you think it's easy, just be simple. If you can sell drugs on the street, you can be a pharmaceutical salesman.
Yeah.
So there's different ways and perspectives, but if they don't know things early, I didn't know what pharmaceutical salesman was until I was in college. So if I would have learned that at 8, I maybe want to be that at 8. So it's been really cool. And the coolest story I have is one of our young men. He started with us in the 6th grade. We took him to Purdue. This is before Zach Edey blew up. This is early. We took him to Purdue early. He got to see what Purdue was. Long story short, He's a junior now. His goal the last 6 years has been becoming an engineer and going to Purdue. He's an athlete, yes, but he understands that, hey, I could walk on and be on the team, but I want to go to Purdue and be an engineer. So I think that's the goal of what we've been able to put together, and that's the fun part.
And it is an amazing. And you don't like to hear this because you don't like to hear people talk about it, but leadership starts at the top, and you've led by example and by being that guy. I've never been in a locker room with you, but I wouldn't want to be in the locker room with you if I wasn't performing. So that part is extremely important. You can support True Life. Tell us how people can and an opportunity for people to support it, because it's extremely important in these days and these times, especially to have great leaders that are willing to take on problems.
Yeah, you can RaphaelDavisBasketball.com. You go there and learn everything. The E is before the A. So RaphaelDavisBasketball.com. You can donate there. You can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter and social media and things like that. Just shoot me a quick message, and I'll get you everything you need to know. And it never has to be a lot. I mean, we raise funds for pizza, and Little Caesars is good enough for us. So 5-6 pieces is good enough for us at a camp or anything like that. But it's been a lot of fun. And coaching the guys have been like Braden and Trey and those dudes have been great. Just doing different things, helping us be able to raise some funds and things like that. We had a big Zach Edey fundraiser. And we're selling 5 photos of Zach. So the guys have been great. Coach has been great. And this has nothing, like a lot of times, it's through the best way to get the kids to me was through sports, but this is so much bigger than sports. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no question. All right, last question. I promise I wanted to ask you just about the wonderful world of, you talked about the transfer portal and running away from. Not everybody does it for that reason. We get that. But talk about the landscape of college sports, and you watch it. What makes you optimistic or pessimistic about, and maybe it's more in football than basketball, but it's still, there's just a lot of plates in the air for not only the kids that are playing, but for how this sports are administrated, how fans watch, et cetera. What makes you, how do you see this 5 years from now?
I just feel, oh man. I was going to say, I just feel bad. I feel bad for a couple of things. I feel really bad for the high school kids because our organization is youth. We go youth just to stay out of recruiting ages and stuff like that. So we deal with youth. But I've noticed the kids get in high school and they just don't have support that you used to have in the youth spaces, AAU spaces, but then colleges are recruiting them in a sense. And I can't necessarily help them like I would want to, just because I don't want to be, you know what I mean? But with colleges now, you see, like my thing is pros shouldn't be allowed to play college sports. I mean, you saw it yesterday with Alabama. I mean, it just kills those high school kids. I mean, it just kills it. So I just think, and it's going to kill one pro. I just think the pros and the overseas guys, and once you're a pro, stay a pro. Like and that's part of sitting in it. Like, don't go be a pro. It didn't work out for you, try to come back. Like that's so like go be a pro and be a pro. So I think that hurts the high school kid. I think the way colleges are scheduling, it hurts the mid-majors. I think everyone is playing a net game. And how can I get high in the net? And I play a bunch of really, really bad teams, and I play a few top teams. And whether I lose or I win, as long as I play them, it helps you. Because you lose a game to a good team, it's almost better than you beating a good mid-major team, if that makes sense. So if I lose to, say, Arizona, it helps me more than, say, this season I beat Miami of Ohio. So those Miami of Ohio's of the world, they're just not getting scheduled for the high major. But they need those high major games to get good seeding, so everyone's talking about how the Cinderella teams are going away, but the Cinderella teams are also going away because the net game. And you can't get a good seed if you're a mid-major if you don't play anybody. And that's what everybody says about Miami, they haven't played anybody. But Miami of Ohio, they've tried to play everybody. Yeah. You listen to coach. So I think that's going to hurt. I also think, and the third thing I said I rounded out with, but when you ask about like the next 5 years, I think you're going to start to see those cases of those kids that had it all in college, were making $500, $600, even upwards 7 figures, $1 million in college, and then they weren't NBA kids. And then you go overseas, you're only making that first year. If you're not a pro kid, you may go from making $700,000, $800,000 in college to making 30,000, 25,000 in Poland. And a lot of kids won't be able to handle that. And then two, now that I'm getting deeper, but now that you're allowed to smoke weed, I guess, in college a little bit, you can't do that overseas. Yeah. You're going home. You're getting banned. So there's some kids that make a lot of money in college. It does not work out overseas. And then they come home, and in the neighborhood they grew up in, and it gets bad for them. Yeah. Like, we're going to see it get bad for a lot of kids early, whereas though you're making all this money, and like just the story, and if like when you see professional players go broke, now that story's going to go into college, and I think the mental health of some of these kids, I think that's a part of the NIL landscape that a lot of people aren't talking about, and I think that can hurt families and that can hurt things. So those would be my three things that I'm concerned about. Be just the high school kids not having opportunities, the mid-majors being pushed out of the game, and then in 5-10 years, those stories about those kids that once had it all, and they start to go to prison for a long time, or they're dead, or they're on drugs, or they're homeless. I think you start to see some of that.
Well said, and importantly said. And Ray Davis calls it like he sees it, and that's important because you got to have messages. You got to be able to articulate messages, and not all ones that are sunshine and roses, because it's not always that way for the absolute reality of the way things are. All right, look for Raphael Davis's work. You can follow him on Twitter. You can follow him also, or support him at Crew Life. You'll see him on the Big Ten Network. And we appreciate you very, very much just taking the time to join us.
No, I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a great rest of your night. Good luck this weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Mackey Arena before long.
All right, cool. See you later.
All right. I want to thank Raphael Davis, who's outstanding as well. We really enjoyed his take on everything, and we also want to thank our sponsors. Golden Black Live, and of course Triple X on the hill, but on the level of Purdue tradition since 1929, and State Farm agent Trent Johnson at trentismyagent.com. Look for our show next week. We'll have more. I think we're going to hear from Purdue's wrestling coach Tony Ursuline, and we'll be talking Purdue basketball, Purdue football as well. And of course, thanks to Kathy Wright-Eager, Dub Jellison, and Tom Dienhart. Really good show today, kind of about things that are maybe a little bit more important than just the sports you see on the playing courts and on the field. So, and finally, thanks to TJ Horn and Chris Collar and the good folks at WLFI for all their help in putting this together. So have a great rest of your Friday or whenever you watch this, and we'll look forward to our next show on Golden Black Live.